As a Wisconsinite, I've been to Washington Island a couple times, and this place is beautiful. It is home to purple lavender fields, the clearest beach in the US, yes, the clearest beach in the US, and a ton of Scandinavian heritage that I am going to talk all about today. This is the ultimate guide to Washington Island. You're gonna learn how to get there, what to do there, and everything you need to know to visit Washington Island. If you're new here, hey guys, I'm Indigo from the Indigo Sahara Travel Blog, where we help hundreds of thousands of travelers just like you make your dream trips a reality through budget travel tips and destination guides. So be sure to hit subscribe so that you don't miss any future travel guides or tips. So first, how do you get to Washington Island? As the name suggests, Washington Island is an island, so there are only two ways to get there, by plane or by boat. Although the easiest way to get there is by boat, specifically by ferry boat, because the airport there is really only for private planes. Airlines do not fly to Washington Island, so most people get there via ferry. To reach the island, you must take a brief and beautiful 30-minute ferry ride. The Washington Island ferry line is located at the tip of Door County, right at the end of Highway 42, and it only costs $15 per adult, plus $28 if you are taking your car. If you're traveling to Washington Island in the summer, you don't necessarily need your car, in my opinion. Both of the times that I went to Washington Island, we did ferry our car to the island, but you don't necessarily need it if you're traveling in summer, because they have bikes that you can rent in the summer, and also the seasonal cherry train that can take you to the most popular stops on Washington Island. So if you're visiting during peak season, which is that summer time, then you don't necessarily need a car, but I appreciate having a car there even when I've been there in the summer. And if you're visiting off season, so between like October to Memorial Day-ish, you'll definitely want to ferry your car because those rentals and that cherry train will not be running. Now that you know how to get to Washington Island, it begs the question, how long should you stay on Washington Island? And personally, I think you can easily see Washington Island in one day. It is a great spot for camping if you're looking for a fun camping trip or a fun weekend overnight trip, but you definitely can see and experience everything in a day trip if you want to just go for the day. Just be sure that you know when the last ferry leaves Washington Island and heads back to mainland Wisconsin so that you don't miss that ferry if you are just doing a day trip. Things to do in Washington Island now include a few of my favorites. First being the Fragrant Isle Lavender Farm and Shop. This is like the biggest and most iconic lavender field, arguably in the US Midwest, definitely in Wisconsin, and it is beautiful when you go during peak lavender bloom, which is like July, August. Stepping into a field filled with purple, white, and green flowers and lavender fragrance might be the last thing you would expect to find in northern Wisconsin, but here we find this and more. This Lavender Farms gift shop also offers pastries, refreshments, and treats, as well as lavender lotions, perfumes, bath and shower products for purchase. This place will fulfill all of your girliest, wanderlusty travel blogger dreams. So definitely bring your camera to snap some pictures with the beautiful lavender field. The second best thing to do on Washington Island is to visit the clearest water in the US at Schoolhouse Beach. Now, this is not a biased opinion. This is actually from a study done by the Florida Panhandle that determined, based on online reviews, that Schoolhouse Beach has the clearest water in the United States. That means it's clearer than Florida's beaches, than California's beaches, and they aren't lying. It's on Lake Michigan, so it's also freshwater and there aren't any sharks, which is a bonus. And this water is as clear as tap water. Schoolhouse Beach is one of few of its kind on the entire world. Unlike an ordinary beach, perfectly smooth white rocks line the crystal clear water instead of sand. Not only does this beach hold uniqueness in its white shore, but Schoolhouse Beach also has several nearby diving sites that allow you to explore a shipwreck dating back to the early 1900s. If you like scuba diving, this is a fantastic place to do that. There aren't many great places to scuba dive in the Midwest, so having the Great Lakes here on the coast of Wisconsin is a great perk, and this is one of those places you can do that. When my husband and I went to Schoolhouse Beach for the first time, it was winter, so it was all full of snow. Then when we went the second time, we weren't expecting much because the first time was full of ice and snow, but we loved it so much that we both agreed that we could have spent an entire day just at that beach. We also went to the lavender fields that day, and it was a great day trip itinerary, but we could have easily spent an entire beach day at Schoolhouse Beach because the water is just so clear and so refreshing. It makes you just want to jump in. In fact, Kenny did. He jumped in his clothes. We did not bring swimsuits because we were not expecting to want to swim, but we both did, and Kenny actually did get in the water. So if you go, bring a swimsuit, bring a towel, bring some dry clothes, because you probably will want to jump in if it is a hot day, because that Lake Michigan water looks very refreshing when it is as clear as it is. On the other hand, if you're looking for a sandy beach, or maybe Schoolhouse Beach is just too busy the day that you visit, Percy Johnson County Park is another great beach option. It is a sandy swimming beach, and we put the drone up here in the dead of winter, and it was beautiful to see all of the icebergs and ice chunks in Lake Michigan coming up to shore. So we definitely didn't swim there. It would have been a very, very cold plunge in the dead of winter, but it was a great sandy swimming beach if you visit in the summer. The third best thing to do in Washington Island is to visit the Washington Island Stavkirke, or Stav Church, which is a replica Stav church from those that you see in Norway. Like I said at the beginning of this video, Washington Island and Wisconsin as a whole are home to lots of Scandinavians, lots of Norwegians and Swedish and Finnish families, and especially on Washington Island and in Door County, you get to experience that heritage in places like the Washington Island Stavkirke. After you cross the boardwalk that leads to the church, your eyes will be drawn immediately toward the details of the structure. 4 wooden dragons extend over the ship-like staves. Detailed Norwegian carvings are on every wall and post to represent the ancient mix between paganism and Christianity, and the church itself will make you feel as if you've landed in a medieval childhood fable or Norwegian monastery, surrounded by birch trees and evergreen forests, meditation benches, cross-country ski trails, and prayer paths. Washington Island Stavkirke is sure to quench your thirst for international travel if you aren't able to travel abroad right now, but you want to. This is a great way to experience some international culture right here in Wisconsin. And this is a great thing to do in literally any season. It is beautiful in any season. I've been here in winter and summer. Both are great. Also, I know that this would be a beautiful place during peak fall foliage to see fall colors. So no matter what season you're visiting Washington Island, the Washington Island Stavkirke is a must. And an honorable mention for the best things to do in Washington Island is the Mountain Park Lookout Tower. I've actually never been here, but I have heard that it is one of the best places in Wisconsin to see fall foliage. I'm sure it's a cool lookout tower no matter what season you're in, but especially during those peak fall colors, again, to see with a bird's eye view all of the trees beneath you from this lookout tower. Once you have enjoyed your time on Washington Island and are ready to head back to mainland Wisconsin on the Door County Peninsula, all you have to do is head right back to the Washington Island Ferry, get in line, and wait your turn to get on the ferry. The ferry in and of itself is one of the best things to do on Washington Island, I think, because you get to be on Lake Michigan, which if you've never been to Lake Michigan, it literally feels like an ocean. It looks like an ocean. It is massive, it is deep, it is choppy like an ocean. So being on the ferry line is a great experience in and of itself. And then of course you get the reward of seeing the lavender fields, the clearest water in the US, and the Norwegian architecture and culture that Washington Island has to offer. I loved Washington Island. I can't wait to go back. It makes a perfect day trip if you live in Wisconsin or are visiting Wisconsin Door County area. It makes a fantastic day trip, and it is definitely worth visiting. I will leave my free Washington Island travel guide link in the description, as well as all of my Wisconsin blog posts. I have the best photo spots in Wisconsin, where to find fall foliage in Wisconsin, and a few other Wisconsin travel guides, so I will leave those in the description as well. I hope this video is helpful, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. So for now, ciao.